Alright, hi everyone. So this is just going to be a quick video about Walk Away. And there's a few things I want to mention. So they're particularly the left. There are a few things that just turned me off. I was always independent. But I reconsidered everything when I didn't think liberalism was so bad. In fact, liberalism kind of looked good not too long ago in the future. Long ago in the past. I absolutely despise the hypocrisy, hatred, intolerant, hateful, steamrolling over the truth, liberalism. They absolutely do not agree with free speech. They steamroll over the truth. They spread misinformation. Although some of them might be genuine and actually think that the right is terrible, you can't deny the fact that so many of these people on the left are just violent in the way they act, violent in the way they speak. You can see it all the time. It's in mainstream news, mainstream Hollywood entertainment, late night TV shows, everything. I absolutely do not agree with the way they act, speak. The intolerance is just zero from them. Anyway, the second thing is that, I live in a foreign country. Even though I hold a U.S. passport, I'm actually an immigrant, so I kind of know what it's like to be an immigrant. I live in Japan. People are not crazy about politics here. They're very pragmatic, very logical thinking people. And however, I have many liberal friends here. And it's only the foreigners who are liberal. And when you talk about politics, if you do not have a liberal viewpoint, you will get attacked by even people who you consider your friends. It's just unbelievable. They don't simply say that you're wrong and you can freely disagree. People will literally argue and tell you you're wrong. You're absolutely violent, hateful for sharing this, whatever, on Facebook or whatever, YouTube, and so on. And it's just not right that you can't freely disagree. People should be able to freely disagree. And look at me. I know what it's like to be an immigrant. And for Democrat people, they're always talking about illegal immigration, that you should completely decriminalize illegals crossing the border. No, that's not okay. Then what happens to the legals? You have to prioritize those who come through and go through the process and become a legal resident, or applying for asylum or whatever. And that's just not fair, because it totally dismantles the dedication that it comes with following the law. And without controlling the border, it would be utter chaos. Those are some of the reasons why I just can't stand liberalism. Besides the point that they're so violent. So I guess that's my walk-away video. And another thing. Lastly, in other words, you have to be leaning right or fighting for conservative values just to fight against liberalism, or you have to at least vote for the conservative or GOP party. And by no means, I hate aligning people with their respective party, but you have to vote. You have to vote for the best candidate that's available, and rarely, especially in recent times, are there Democrat candidates are better than the Republican candidates. Yeah, in other words, in order to be fighting against liberalism, you have to vote for people who are incorrect, political correctness. You have to vote for the opposite of political correctness. You have to vote for usually conservatives because they do not share the agreement with liberalism. Just a side note, I was actually quite worried or nervous and afraid to put out a walkaway video and actually stating somewhat of my political view, because let's face it, I don't want to be thrown hate. I don't want people to attack me, and that's just why I never really talk about politics or released a public statement on the internet showing my political views. Anyway, the future does not belong to globalists and belongs to patriots who believe in an independent sovereign state. So anyway, that's it for this video. So #walkaway and fight for conservative values. Peace out.
Before I left, my lovely 20-foot flagpole was flying proudly in the air with the American flag and my big Trump flag. Police told me it looked like somebody had cut it with a metal saw. That was upsetting to me, because I really thought that we lived in a country that we had freedom of speech.
Families say they were targeted for their political views. Their street was spray painted with all sorts of foul language.
She woke up to the word Nazi and KKK, slandering Trump and his following.
It's not just a violation to me, it's a violation to everyone. It's a violation to everyone that believes in their civil liberties.
Been getting death threats and has seen her house vandalized because of her support for Donald Trump.
I didn't do anything to anybody other than put a few Trump signs in my yard, which I'm entitled to do. Then I had this one motorcyclist, when I was out, he rides by and he says, "You're gonna die."
This is an attempt to shut down free speech. These presidential activities are part of our democratic process. The people who showed up in Chicago had every right under the Constitution to participate in this election process, and they were denied.
Who's at fault here? Who provoked the incident? The answer is obvious: far-left agitators who do not believe in freedom of speech drove a situation that could have become violent. But the national media almost immediately spun the story, demonizing Donald Trump and his supporters, blaming the incident on inflammatory rhetoric and racist thought.
You have this entire movement of fascism which is saying, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to shut up your right to speak, I'm going to intimidate you, I'm going to bully you, and they're terrified of Trump because he seems to be strong enough and dynamic enough to take him head on.
Mr. Trump just arrived in Chicago and after meeting with law enforcement has determined that for the safety of all the tens of thousands of people that have gathered in and around the arena, tonight's rally will be postponed until another day. Thank you very much for your attendance, and please go in peace.
We shall sit down. 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 We shall sit down.
Nobody delights in this. This is a very sad scene that we're seeing. This is supposed to be American democracy in action. Instead, what we're seeing is just total chaos.
These are rebellions, and they're brought on by riot starters who show up at these things to create chaos. This is a threat to ordered liberty in the United States of America. These are anarchists. They advocate violence and chaos in the name of virtue, so you can't amp it down. Look, the people who show up at the Trump rallies or anybody else's rally, they're not asking for trouble. They didn't start this stuff. They're not advocating for violence, and I'm not either. But I'm not going to back down, and I don't expect them to back down either. For people to blame this on Donald Trump is it's way out of bounds.
Why you gotta call everybody racist?
We fucked your grandma, we fucked your mama.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
that sounds classic.
You incestual piece of shit. You incestual piece of shit.
It's racist, like
Look at some of the rhetoric and the language used by Mrs. Bill Clinton and Bernie Sanders at their rallies and at their debates, how they attack the police. They stoke up racial animosity. The President of the United States is the one that created this division.
The left is mad because he's standing up to them. That's what the problem is.
MoveOn.org is now openly soliciting donations to help create even more chaos at future political events of Donald Trump.
Everything is ass backwards in the country right now. Okay, we're looking at rioting, and we're calling that protesting. The cops are the bad guys, the crooks are the victims now.
You're fucking a white male! You're a white man!
Fucking old ass piece of shit. You're fucking old. Old. White baby boomer. Fucking
I'm telling you, some people are just tired of this. White people are being pushed around, kicked to the curb, having their rights denied, being called a racist, being walked on. You're closing down their jobs. You're telling them what they can and cannot do. You're telling lies, and you're demoralizing our nation. You're destroying everything that has made this nation great. White folk getting ready to rise up. They don't want to take it no more. And I'm joining. I mean, who can blame them? To build this nation and then have it given away. Just given away.
They've sent us a message that they can take whatever they want. But we will send them a message that this is our land.
Don't back down to these bullies and these goons. Have your voice heard as well. The numbers are on your side.